Hello and welcome back to British Accent Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Emily. Thanks for tuning in, wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now. We're glad you're here.
Today's one of those topics that really sneaks up on you, doesn't it? That quiet little ache in your chest when you feel like everyone else is racing ahead, and somehow, you're stuck. Like life's just happening without you.
Yeah. That feeling when you scroll through your feed and it seems like everyone's ticking off milestones, traveling, getting promotions, falling in love, starting families. And you're just, in your room, wondering if you're doing anything right at all.
I've been there. Still end up there sometimes. That fear that maybe you're falling behind. That you missed some invisible train. But the truth is, life isn't a schedule. There's no universal timeline that says, by 25, you should have done this, and by 30, you better have that.
Exactly. But we compare constantly, don't we? Especially with social media. It's like watching everyone else's highlight reel, while you're stuck backstage trying to sort your mess.
And the worst part is, no one really talks about the in-between moments. The years when nothing exciting happens. When you're just surviving, learning, healing, figuring yourself out.
But those years matter. Just because they're quiet doesn't mean they're empty. Just because they're not flashy doesn't mean they're wasted. Growth often looks boring on the outside.
Right. Like learning to set boundaries. Letting go of something toxic. Showing up for yourself every day even when no one's clapping. That's real work. And most of it happens when no one's watching.
I think we need that reminder sometimes, that your worth isn't measured by how busy or successful you look. You're allowed to have seasons where you're still. Where things take time. Where the wins are small and silent.
And let's be honest, some people are sprinting not because they're ahead, but because they're running from something. We all have our own pace, our own path. Slower doesn't mean less.
It doesn't. And I think when we slow down, we start noticing things we'd have missed if we were rushing. Like how strong we've actually become. Or how far we've come even when it doesn't feel like it.
Sometimes it takes looking back to realize, hang on, I've grown in ways I never gave myself credit for. I've survived things I thought would break me. That's not falling behind, that's transformation.
And no one else gets to define that for you. Not your friends. Not Instagram. Not the clock on the wall. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're just human, doing your best, and that's enough.
It's easy to forget that the people you're comparing yourself to, they've got their own doubts too. They might look like they've got it all figured out, but you never know what's happening behind the scenes.
Totally. And I think the more we accept that life isn't a straight line, the more grace we give ourselves. You're not always supposed to be in motion. Sometimes, you're meant to be grounded. Rooting in. Preparing for what's next.
It's like nature, isn't it? Trees don't bloom all year. They have seasons of rest. Stillness. Even shedding. But that doesn't mean they're dying. It just means they're getting ready for what's to come.
Exactly. But we live in a world that celebrates constant progress. And it makes you feel like if you're not doing something visible, you must be wasting time. But some of the most important changes happen quietly. Internally.
Like learning to trust yourself again. Learning patience. Healing from disappointment. That kind of progress won't show up on a CV. But it makes all the difference in how you show up for your life.
It really does. And I think sometimes we need to look at where we are, take a breath, and ask ourselves, what am I learning right now that I couldn't have learned if everything had gone according to plan?
Because sometimes what feels like a detour is actually the lesson. The thing you didn't know you needed. You only realize it after. When you've come through it. When you've changed in ways success alone couldn't teach you.
And maybe that's the point. Maybe life isn't passing you by. Maybe it's building you quietly, giving you something solid so that when the next chapter comes, you're ready for it.
You're not being left behind. You're being shaped. Slowly, gently. Even if it doesn't look impressive right now, it matters.
And sometimes, the pressure to catch up isn't even from others, it's from ourselves. That little voice that says, you should be further along by now. But says who? Who set that timeline?
Yeah, we internalize all these ideas of where we should be, and we forget that no one lives the same life twice. Your experiences, your pace, your path, it's meant to be different.
You know what helps? Looking at the moments when you were fully present. Not performing. Not proving. Just being. Those moments remind you that you're not meant to chase life, but live it.
And living it doesn't always mean building empires or climbing ladders. Sometimes it just means being honest about how you feel, making small choices that align with your values, or saying no when something doesn't sit right with you.
Right? And giving yourself credit for the invisible work. The work no one applauds. Like getting out of bed on a hard day. Like staying kind when you're tired. Like learning how to rest without guilt.
I think that's when life quietly starts to feel fuller. Not because it suddenly speeds up, but because you start paying attention to your own rhythm. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what do I actually need right now?
And most of the time, it's not more pressure, it's more compassion. Not more hustle, but more permission to breathe. To slow down. To trust that your life isn't behind, it's just unfolding differently.
It's easy to overlook all that when you're in the middle of it. But honestly, some of the most meaningful lives are built slowly. With intention. With reflection. With rest. And yours might be one of them.
You know, I think we underestimate how much strength it takes to keep going when nothing feels exciting. To keep showing up when there's no big breakthrough, no applause, just daily life.
That kind of quiet perseverance, it's powerful. It doesn't look dramatic. It won't trend anywhere. But it builds something deep inside you. Patience. Endurance. A sense of inner stability that no achievement can replace.
Sometimes we don't need a new goal. Sometimes we need to slow down long enough to appreciate how far we've come, just by surviving things we thought we wouldn't.
Absolutely. And not everything needs to be shared. Not every win needs validation. Some of the most important milestones are the ones that only you know about.
Like choosing not to compare yourself today. Like making peace with a version of yourself you've outgrown. Like realizing it's okay to move at your own pace, even if no one else understands it.
Yeah. And it's also okay to grieve the timeline you thought you'd be on. That vision you once had for yourself. Letting go of that doesn't mean you've failed, it just means you're making space for what's actually meant for you.
And honestly, when you stop fighting the pace of your life, things soften a bit. You stop treating yourself like a project that needs fixing, and more like a person who deserves patience.
It's strange, isn't it? How much pressure we put on ourselves to constantly do more, be more. But when you slow down, you begin to notice what's actually meaningful. What actually matters to you, not just what looks good from the outside.
And it's in those slower moments that you start to hear yourself again. Your real self, not the version that's trying to keep up. Not the one that's comparing, competing, or pretending. Just you.
And when you reconnect with that version of yourself, the one beneath all the expectations, you start to realize that you were never actually behind. You were just living in a world that pushes speed over stillness.
That's it. We've been taught that the only way to prove our worth is through output, productivity, visibility. But some of the most beautiful lives are the quiet ones. The ones where someone simply chooses peace, presence, healing.
And sometimes choosing peace looks like saying no to what you once thought you wanted. Or stepping back from things that exhaust you, even if they impress other people.
Or even admitting, I don't want that anymore. That can be a powerful turning point, when you stop chasing something just because you used to think it mattered.
Exactly. And from there, life starts to feel more aligned. Not easier, necessarily, but more truthful. You stop performing and start being. And in that space, you begin to trust your timing.
That kind of trust doesn't come quickly. It's built moment by moment. And it often looks like choosing rest when you feel guilty, or choosing stillness when the world wants noise.
It also means celebrating the smaller victories, like being kind to yourself after a hard day, or deciding to keep going even when no one's watching. That's real progress.
And sometimes the most meaningful moments aren't the ones with fireworks. They're the ones where you finally breathe a little easier. Where you stop blaming yourself for where you thought you'd be.
Yeah. That quiet exhale, the kind that comes when you stop chasing and start accepting. Not giving up, just letting go of the pressure to prove something.
That shift changes everything. Because once you stop measuring yourself against someone else's progress, you actually start noticing your own. The real stuff. The inner work that no one claps for.
Like becoming more honest with yourself. More gentle. More open to the idea that your life might unfold in a way that surprises you, in a way that's slower, but deeper.
And honestly, the slower path gives you time to become someone you actually like. Not someone you created to meet an image or expectation, but someone who feels grounded in who they are.
That kind of self-connection is rare, but it's powerful. Because when you're okay with where you are, even if it's not shiny or impressive, you stop waiting for life to begin. You realize it's already happening.
Right now. In this very season. Even in the stillness. Even in the waiting. Even in the parts you don't fully understand yet.
And that's the beauty of it. You don't need everything to be clear in order for it to be meaningful. Sometimes just being present, fully, honestly, is more than enough.
So if you've been feeling like life is moving without you, take a moment. Breathe. You haven't missed it. You're not late. You're just living at your own pace, and that pace is still valid.
You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to move slowly. You're allowed to live a quiet life that still matters deeply. Your timeline isn't broken, it's just yours.
Thanks for being with us today. Wherever you are in your journey, we hope this episode made you feel a little less alone, and a little more at peace with where you are.
This is Nick.
And I'm Emily. And we'll see you next time on the British Accent Podcast.